What's up, everybody? We're back at the podcast. This is episode 12. We got Chris Haven in.
So,
Thanks for coming in, Chris. We've been kind of chatting for a while back and
thank
forth
you.
about getting you on here finally. Good to have you back on.
Thank you.
Yeah. What do you got going on today, man?
Uh, Today just kind of chilling. Do this podcast. I got to do some digital designs, and then later I got to start this project in this ice cream shop, but we got to wait till they close like at 8, so it's kind of like an overnight thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you're just full time just doing art then?
Yeah.
That's cool. How long have you been doing that full time?
It's been a while now. I mean, even when I wasn't, I would take little jobs, and get paid off doing murals and projects, but it's been a good while now that I've been able to do it full time.
Yeah, pro artist, bro. It's
Thank you, man.
among the few. It's
I'm definitely
pretty
thankful.
commendable.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah. So how did that all get started? Your
Um,
art kind of ambition.
I mean, when I was little, I would always draw. I think my grandma kind of got me into drawing. We just draw like cartoons and like people's faces and stuff with just pencil. And then got into like graffiti and stuff when I was in high school. Um, and then kind of those just merged. And yeah, it is where it is now.
So your grandmother is an artist too, or just
She,
casual? She just wanted to do something with you?
yeah, I think she was just like into drawing and stuff, and I think she thought that was like a good thing for me to have, like a good skill. So she would always like sit down and we'd draw, like Garfield or something, or like portraits of people.
That's cool. And so where'd you grow up at?
I'm here. I'm from Denver. I'm a native.
Okay.
Yeah.
What part of town?
Up north, like Arvada, Westminster area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on. Did you go to school in Arvada?
Actually, I went for high school. I went to like Thornton High School for 2 years, and then Westy High School
Okay.
for 2 years.
Right
Yeah.
on. And is that when you start skating? When did you start skateboarding?
Let's see. I started skating in it was like around middle school, maybe like seventh grade. Um, I was when I was real young, I was into skiing, and then um, I got into snowboarding, because it was like the cool thing to do. So I got into snowboarding, and then eventually I was like, man, skating looks cool too. So that whole culture kind of blended itself.
What was kind of like the influence, or how did you get exposed to skating?
Actually, when I was young, or around like middle school days, I was playing football, and I would have to walk up the street, wait on the corner, and the coach would come pick me up to take me to practice. And I just saw this group of kids, and they were skating this abandoned gas station on the corner, and it just looked so fun, man. They were having so much fun. They were just like vibing, like having fun out there, and I was like, man, that's cool. And I knew a couple of them from my high school. Like I didn't talk to them or anything, but I like could recognize them, and I was like, oh, that's that one dude.
And then so you started hanging out with those guys, that crew, or
Yeah, actually, um, it was my friend Davey. Um, Sam was a part of that crew, but he wasn't there that day. There's another dude, Maud, that was there. There was a dude named Jesse that was there. Um, there was a couple other guys, but Davey went to my high school, and Sam was a little bit older than us, but I'd known of him because he would always skate with Davey. And yeah, I just kind of like try to like work my way in with that crew because Davey was super cool in high school, and like it was always like, oh, he's like the coolest kid, he's like skater dude, and like everyone like chilled with him, or like knew of him and liked him. But it was kind of, I was a little more like academic, and stuff, so it was kind of hard for me to blend in with that. But another kid, his name was Little J. He skated with Davey too, and Little J was into snowboarding a lot. So I first got to be friends with Little J because I was just like, let's go snowboarding, you know what I mean? Like my dad will take us up there, and we started snowboarding us together, and then finally it was like, you should come skating with us too. And then I started like meeting everybody in the crew and stuff.
give me 1 second.
Yeah, no problem.
gonna keep popping off, and I didn't think about that. But yeah, so what year? Around what year was that? Do you know?
Um, Man, it was a long time ago. And honestly, with like years and age, I don't like to like put dates on stuff, and I feel like once you start saying how old you are, like you start feeling like that, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And like then you're like, oh man, I'm so old, man. I'm getting old, and you start to get like bummed out on that. But um, it was a long time ago. It was like 90s, you know what I mean? I've been into skating for a long time and snowboarding.
Yeah, and on that note, like I think I was watching following some like classic Colorado clips page or something like that, and I saw you like in a clip from like Out of the Blue,
Hmm.
right? And I had that video growing up as a kid and watching that, and I didn't realize that was you in that video. And I only met you, I think, like during the pandemic, anyways. And so
Yeah.
like we kind of been around, and I've never run across you or met you ever. So it's kind of weird to meet you, then see that clip, and then realize that like I'd seen that video, 100 times as a kid, and not like had that click until just a few months ago.
That's what's up. Yeah, like I've always been involved with 303. I was in a couple of the videos. I think I was in another friend's part of another 303 video. But yeah, out of the blue, we had a little part, little section.
Yeah, that was sick. I didn't realize that, and so like I didn't realize like I didn't realize the exposure, or the kind of uh, connection there that was there for this whole time. But yeah, it just happenstance that I don't know how I never seen you around ever, like in 20 years that I've been skating or more.
Are you from here?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
where?
from Arvada too.
Oh,
And
cool,
yeah,
cool.
so I like went to Arvada and was always hanging out at 303 when it was across the parking lot from this high school.
Nice.
So we're always there, but yeah, you don't meet everybody. Same with Roshan. Like I never met him until just during the pandemic too. And so did you two in your little crew, you guys got a pretty tight crew. You guys skating like all the time still.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
what's how did that kind of connection?
I mean, they're just like all my day ones, you know, like I was saying, like Davey was one of the first people I ever skated with. He kind of introduced me into tagging too. Sammy, you know, a little later after me and Davey would skate, Sammy would come and pick us up from like junior high, and we would just go skate all night downtown. And then, you know, Sam got 303, and I think just the fact that we were friends from so long ago, and like, I mean, it's a blessing we're still friends today. You know, it's awesome. But we just try to make a point, like, let's all get out, you know, at least one day a week, and, you know, keep it going.
Yeah, it's pretty tough, and everyone's got conflicting schedules and stuff. So that always stokes me seeing older guys, you know what I mean, out there
For sure.
still skating and still, filming stuff, even if it's
Yeah.
just park footage and stuff like that. But progressing and maintaining the skating is super hard to do,
Yeah, it is.
and yeah, that always inspires me.
And I think just like, you know, we all love it so much, you know, like just every aspect of it. So,
Yeah, it's hard not to love. It's pretty awesome activity for sure. And so you've been like traveling a lot,
yeah.
doing your art and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Where have you been lately?
Um, let's see. About a month ago, we went to LA. My girlfriend had a job out there. She was doing some art teaching, so I kind of just got to chill and like skate. But we did some painting like on Venice Beach and stuff. And then about 2 weeks ago, we went to New York for Bushwick Collective Festival. Um, it's in Brooklyn. It's like a really dope hip hop festival. I've been wanting to go there for a long time, and finally, one of my friends was going out there to paint a mural, and he kind of invited me and was like, "Jump on the wall with me." So we went out there. I met the curator. He was really, really nice. He threw me a bunch of extra walls, got me a job with Modelo out there, and it was really dope, man. And it's a really dope festival. Like if you get a chance to check it out, it's really cool.
Did you skate out there at all? Or?
In New York?
Yeah.
No, not this time because I knew I was gonna be busy with like the festival and the art. And usually when I take trips, it's either like I'm going there for skating or I'm going there for art. It's hard for me to like blend them sometimes, unless it's like a long trip.
Right. And I saw you guys were like skating Koreatown and stuff like that, and when you were in Cali and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Is that like the first time you've been to those spots?
Um, no, and that was a trip actually a little earlier this year. But no, I've been to Cali a bunch. We used to go out all the time with Sam and 303 and like the clique that we rolled with to all the trade shows. So we would go to the trade shows, um, chill there for a couple days, and then we take like another 5 days just to go around and skate everywhere. So I've been to a lot of the spots in Cali already.
That's tight. And then, so I remember, I don't know if that was you or not back in the day that there was like a tag with like the Triforce.
Hmm.
Was that you?
So the Triforce thing originated. We had originally our crew. It was AM, and everybody has like letters in their crew, and we wanted something to like set us apart. So we just started messing with the letters, and then it was like we put the A over the M, and it kind of made the Triforce already. So it really had nothing to do with like Zelda or the Triforce symbol. It was more actually like um, metaphysical symbol for fire, the tetrahedron,
Hmm.
because we were really into like metaphysics and like esoteric stuff. Um, we actually we created that symbol and started throwing that up, and then we created a hip hop group out of it called Tetrahedron, and we did a lot of performances and stuff around town with that name for a long time.
That's like that's pretty iconic because I remember I couldn't go a single day anywhere in the whole metro area without seeing that up somewhere. So you guys
Word.
were blasting that, and I was like, I always wondered who it was. And I always wondered what it was all about, and I'd literally would see it every single day, and everywhere I went, and I was like, dang, those guys putting work,
Word.
dude.
Yeah,
Because
that was like a bunch of us. So like, for the most part, we all hit it up the same, but everyone had their little,
little flavor.
yeah, little style to it. But yeah, that's our crew, and which is it's still our crew right now.
That's cool. And I
Yeah.
haven't seen that. I haven't. It's been like maybe 10 years since I've seen that up anywhere,
Hmm.
and so it's all gone. But I'm sure there's some that are still up
Oh
around.
yeah, we're still doing it, but I mean, there's just so much more to do now. Back then we were really young and into graffiti and like getting up everywhere, so there was a lot more of that on the streets. But yeah.
And yeah, I'm not really. I don't know too much about like graffiti culture or anything like that, and I feel like it's got a lot to do or kind of like overlapping kind of uh, like influence and kind of similar to skate culture is like there's consequences if you get caught
Hmm.
and you've got it's artistic, right, and in the same way, and it's kind of has like a little bit of danger and criminality to it like skating and stuff. And is that something that you were just drawn to in the same regard, or was just the art aspect, or is it kind of both, or
Well, actually, when we first started skating, um, with Davey and Sam, we would go downtown, and there would be this whole clique of skaters downtown. I'm really bad with names, but Zez was there. There was this dude named Dana. Um, man, there was this dude named Stefan, and they were like really sick skaters, man. And we'd skate Skyline Park all the time, and the
mm,
cops would come and bust us. But anyways, every one of the skaters had a fat marker on them, and every one of them tagged, and it like went hand in hand. Like you skate around, you catch tags, like it was just all like one similar culture. So once I found out like that the homies were doing that, I was like, oh yeah, I want to do that too. So that's if it wasn't for skating, I would have never been influenced or like introduced to graffiti at all, like because it was never on my mind before that. Um, when I was really young, my dad had an automobile shop in Rhino. It was actually on the corner of like 27th and Larimer, and his building would always get like tagged on it. So I would look and see the stuff, but I was never like, I thought it was cool, but I was never like, oh, I want to do that. That's dope. But until I saw like the homies and they had the markers, and I was like, oh man, that's tight. Yeah.
yeah. And I think when I was younger, like one of my babysitters, he was like really into tagging. I don't know if you know him, Rocky Gallegos,
Hmm.
but he used to babysit me when I was a little kid.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah, and so he used to always tag, and like, he used to try to teach me how to draw and stuff, and I was really, really bad, and it would just really frustrate me because I was like, I'd watch him draw, and he was like really good, and I was just some little 8 or 9 year old like really crappy at drawing, and uh, he would have like he'd bring home like magazines. I don't know where he got them, like tagging. He'd show me like Emmett's tags.
Uh-huh.
Like he was like super into Emmett back in the day, and he's like,
That's
"Oh,
cool.
Emmett's the best. Like
Yeah.
here, check out these, all these murals that he's doing and stuff." And I was like, "Dang, this stuff's so sick!" But I couldn't even like wrap my head around it because the it was just way out of what I could conceptualize of compared to like my art skills. And when you're little, like when I was little, I would always compare myself to other people, and just like as soon as something was better than me, I would just get like frustrated and pissed that I couldn't imagine myself being able to like be any good at
Yeah.
something that I saw someone being like super good at. But
I think with anything, it just takes practice, you know.
yeah, for
Like
sure. But you don't
when I
learn,
started, I was horrible. You
right?
know
But
what I
you
mean?
don't. I didn't learn that till after I started, like way after I was skateboarding
Yeah.
for years. That was one thing that actually gave me like some kind of like faith in myself that I could
Yeah.
actually accomplish something or anything really. What it turned into is like, oh, you can do a skateboard trick, you could do anything that you imagine. But I didn't have that concept until I was almost an adult. Like it's so late in life that I kind of learned that yeah, if you practice, you could actually do whatever you want. But
Skating's crazy like that because anyone that starts, like, they're not going to just like do kick flips immediately, you know. It's a great tool because it teaches you, like, you got to put some time and work and effort into it. And I think that can, you know, translate to all kinds of areas in life.
yeah, really anything. I feel like that's kind of we're talking about like asking me before the show about the podcast and stuff, and it's just like it's just like another example of something that you have an idea of doing and it's in your head, but then it doesn't just appear. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? It doesn't just happen. You have to work at it. You have to like do something for it to like come about. And like if I didn't skateboard, I would never have that ambition. I would never have the confidence to try anything. And you know, that's what's definitely given me everything I needed to accomplish all the goals that I set for myself. And I feel like that's kind of a universal understanding
Yeah.
between skateboarders that just like you bail and you slam and you know that you can do it if you keep trying. And
Hmm.
like I said, it's a really powerful like lesson that I don't think generally people get exposed to. So
Yeah. It's a great tool, great thing that we have.
and yeah, so what do you feel like is one of your some of your best accomplishments like that you've achieved in skateboarding,
Um,
like you're most proud of?
in skateboarding,
Yeah.
um, switch tray flip. No. um, I mean, when I was younger, we had a bunch of sponsors, man. I'm stoked that I was able to like be at that level where I was getting, you know, product and stuff. 'Cause I know that's tough to achieve
Sure.
in the skate community, especially in Denver. You know, it's tough. You know, and I'm stoked that I was you know, in some of the 303 videos. You know, to be in like an official skate
Yeah.
video, especially with someone that is you know, viewed so highly as 303. Like that was amazing. You know, I was never really into contest skating too
Hmm.
much, so um, you know, no trophies or nothing. But and I mean, just to be able to skate with my friends still is
Yeah,
really
that's
cool. You
awesome.
know, yeah.
And what kind of sponsors did you end up getting?
Um, Man, back in the day, we would have like every shoe sponsor. Not like all at once, but it was so easy to get shoe sponsors. Not easy, but um I didn't ever have board sponsors because I was always with 303, so I would get boards and stuff through them. But and I have kind of a bad memory, so I can't remember in timeline what's what. But um, we were sponsored by Globe for a minute, Globe shoes. They were super cool. They would at the same time we were doing the Tetrahedron hip hop shows, so they would give us money just to throw their Globe banners while we're DJing and stuff. They were super cool. Airwalk, I rode for them. Um, Osiris, I rode for a long time. Um, Man, I can't think of the guy's name. I I think he moved to. I think he's doing Never Summer now, but really cool guy, man, and would just hook us up with so many shoes. And then I was the sample size too,
Oh,
so he
nice.
would just be like, "Do you want these shoes for like $10?" And he would just have boxes of shoes, and we'd come to the Denver park and just like bless people. Um, Adidas, I rode for a while. That was probably the best sponsor. Um, I think his name was Scott, and just like fat boxes, man. Such he would just hook us up so sick. I think we got like the Gons model shoe when it dropped, like the first and second one. He would throw in like shirts and backpacks and all kinds of shit. And super cool, you know.
And so that sponsorship came like strictly out of skateboarding, or was it influenced by your art and your music too, or?
So I wasn't really doing like art on the level I am now back then. I was just tagging, which like, you know, back then it was like no one gave a shit about graffiti, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But we were pretty heavy in like the hip hop community doing shows. We had a group, um, and it was like 7 people, and we would always be, people would always say, "Oh, it's the Denver Wu Tang," and we would do shows like, man, almost every week, and we'd perform and DJ. So they wouldn't know we were skating, and we had definitely had some help through 303. Um, and then my friend D, he was really good with like talking to sponsors, so he would always put a good word in for us. But I think they knew that we skated good, but I also think they knew that we were on this hip hop platform too. So they were like, we need to get those guys wearing our stuff. You know what I mean? Especially for the Adidas sponsorship. He clearly was like, I want to see you guys like on stage, you know, but also like keep doing footage, send me footage of, you know, your new tricks and stuff. So it was a little bit of both. I think with Globe to Airwalk, not so much, and Osiris, I think those were a little before those, but those were like just all skating. They just, it was kind of through 303 and yeah, the
So,
homie.
have you maintained any sponsors through the years, or they kind of just fell off, or?
You know, for me, like it seemed like every time I had a sponsor, they would hook us up for a long time, and then he would be like, you know, I mean, just for say, it'd be like Adidas fired me. I'm gonna go. I have to go work for this company now, and then it would just be like, that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you lose
because a
your
new rep,
connection.
yeah, a new rep would come in. That rep is like he already has like this guy, you know, that he's thinking of sponsoring, or this guy. He's like he might not even know of us. You know what I mean? So it doesn't like
Doesn't
flow
transfer.
down,
Yeah.
yeah, unless you're like in house. But back then it was like the only way to really get sponsored was like the reps around the city, unless you were like really good, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, move beyond that.
Yeah. And so, you still doing the music stuff, or you?
Yeah, yeah. We did the group thing for a long time, and then you know, it got tough with having people all meet up, getting on the same page to practice, you know, going out and like doing it consistently. Um, Plus, we weren't getting paid a whole lot, and then we'd have to split it up between like 7 people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
was like, you know, we're
A lot of
making,
lot of
yeah.
work.
So that group just kind of like split up and fell apart. Um, a bunch of the members still make music. I still make music. My friend Jeremiah still makes music. My friend Nice still makes music. Um, yeah, I mean, I think for the most part everyone does a little bit, but yeah, it just kind of was. It was tough to like maintain that group thing.
Trevor and Dave Davis just shout out to you. Said what's up
What's up, y'all? Oh, geez.
for sure. But yeah. So like music, I always say is like if you have a band, it's seriously probably the hardest thing you could possibly do because you're getting all kinds of creative people that all have different lifestyles and different standards, different ideas, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And then you try to collaborate and make one like artistic thing together as a group. It's so hard,
Yeah,
super hard. It's not like you're skating with the crew and then you could just sit there and chill, or
yeah,
you can skate super hard and you're not relying or counting on anybody. But like music, like you need everybody to be like on point
yeah,
the whole time, like creatively, technically, interpersonally,
yeah. Everyone has to be on
schedule.
the same page.
Yeah, it's super hard. It's like such a hard thing to do, and anybody that could like create music with a group of more than like 2 or 3 people and get to a level where you can record and perform, it's like such a feat, like
Yeah,
just in and of itself, even if the music is super simple or super basic, like still just being able to do that is so hard.
yeah. I mean, it was crazy. We did it for so long, and we opened up for like a lot of like headliners that would come to Denver. But I think just like you said, like it was, you know, it was just tough for everyone to be like, okay, let's do this song. Let's, practice it this time. And I think too, like everybody wanted to do other things also, you know what I mean? So I'm, looking back, I really wish we would have focused a little more because I definitely think we had like something that was pretty genuine and could have took us further. But we did the best we could, and we performed a lot, and I think we had a good buzz during that time.
Yeah, I mean that's commendable. Like so many people will never leave their garage or their basement with their music, and even with I think probably had a good timing as far as being without like all the social media and stuff because you just get drowned out by people's just access
Hmm.
to getting exposure with just mediocre and
Yeah,
subpar kind of content. You know what I mean? That you can just get access to everyone with,
yeah,
and you really have to be something to like make your name for yourself and produce and get a following when you don't have social media at all.
yeah, yeah.
And so that's pretty commendable too because those times were tough to get exposure back then.
Yeah, I think it kind of is, it's always good and bad. Um, who knows if we had social media, maybe we could have gone, nationally, just because we would have had more recognition and more eyes on us. And also at that time, hip hop in Denver wasn't super big, so there was underground groups and stuff, but there wasn't a whole lot of people trying to like be out there and perform, so it we definitely like hit it at the right time.
Yeah, that's pretty great. And then so with your art and stuff, like what was like a catalyst for you kind of like getting to that level that you kind of are kind of getting at? Was there a thing or was just like a steady progression or how do you feel like you started to break out?
I think just a steady progression. um, you start with tagging and then you do bubble letters, then you want to do wild style pieces, and then it was like, okay, I'm gonna paint letters for an automobiles shop that wants like their letter logos, and then that's like, oh, they're gonna pay me for that. That's cool. And then you start to realize like you can get some mural jobs. I think honestly, the big catalyst for here was when they legalized marijuana because so much money came into our city, which caused all kinds of new buildings to be built, which caused them needing big murals and then also having to allocate money to art projects. I think that was like a big catalyst for here alone, and I think I was able to just kind of seize that moment, and it's a lot of just luck too. You know what I mean? It's hard work and luck.
Right. They say that quote is like the harder you work, the luckier you get, right? And so I believe that for sure.
Yeah, you just have to be, like keep sharpening your sword and be prepared, for them when the moments come.
That's right. And so your pyramid people, does that kind of develop out of like you guys' crew tag? Was that kind of like it directly
Yeah.
developed out of that, right?
Yeah, so we had the the tetrahedron symbol, and then from there organically it just kind of went three-dimensional, and then drew a face on it and arms and stuff. And ever since I started Graph, I wanted a character, and I've tried so hard to like find one, because you need one that's like that can stick, easily identifiable, and like, you know, will set you apart from other characters. So it just kind of happened all organically, and once I felt like I had a good design, I just like really like kept doing it over and over, and just hit them with repetition.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And it's yeah, it's pretty recognizable like and it's nice though because just the way it's just adaptable to whatever the context is, I think that makes it pretty marketable and like accessible or you have them all over too. And actually you put one up we had a workshop for our in Arvada on 52nd and Marshall, and I go back around the back of our workshop. I'm like, oh shit, there's a little with the flower with the
Where?
roses. Was like the like a rose. It was like a flower or
Hmm.
florist place,
Hmm.
but that was like, and they started tearing it down, and I go back there and I'm like, oh shit, Chris is here. And that was literally like right across the parking lot from our workshop. But
Yeah, I really like adapting them to the environment. You know what I mean? Like, because that's gonna make them more interesting than just like a plain pyramid here. You know, to be able to work with the environment or you know, the business or whatever. That's gonna like bump it up a level.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And that I feel like that's kind of how like the skateboarding like graffiti correlation kind of is that way. Same with street skating. You can't just you have your tricks on lock, whatever, at the park, but sometimes you get to a spot and you're like, well, it's just not gonna work here. I've gotta do something else that
Mm-hmm.
maybe pushes you into a different out of your comfort zone or has you adapt in a different way to the environment. And
Yeah,
that's what kind of is the beauty of the art of street skating. I think is that you
for sure.
gotta you gotta adapt to your surroundings to make it actually physically work, but also make it that aesthetic or that kind of style that you want.
And also just being able to like look at a street spot and be like, see a way to skate it. You know what I mean? Like Guy Mariano or some, he sees like things that like no one sees in a skate spot. Um, you know, and just to be able to have that mind to be creative and be like, oh, I could do this here. You know, not I think it directly correlates. You know, in that aspect for sure.
And so I saw you just on the cover of Westward. What was that, last month or month before?
Yeah.
And how did that kind of come about?
Um. Well, originally Denver Parks and Recs did the skate park murals. So I was a part of that, and then they just called me randomly and said they want to try to do some new murals on the river, the Spear River, and they wanted me to curate it. They didn't have a budget, and they were just kind of trying to, you know, see if they could get some art there. I think their original idea was like get art to slow down like the graffiti that was being put on there. So they reached out to me, and I got a bunch of, you know, friends and local artists together to do a bunch of murals. Um, and then yeah, it just kind of snowballed. Westward wanted to pick up the story because they saw all these new murals getting on there. Um, I reached out to Denver Theater District and applied for a grant personally because I felt like these artists were just giving their time, you know, without any money back. But also, being a Denver native, that wall in that area is like, it's like everybody wants to paint down there. You know what I mean? It's like the coolest place to paint. It's always been looked at as like a great place for murals. So, but anyway, so I reached out to them. I got a small grant and was able to actually get the artist paid some. Um, yeah, and Westward threw me on the cover. I had no idea they were going to do that until almost like the day or two before. I thought they were just going to run an article on the actual murals down there and stuff.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was. I was super blessed, man. It was super cool to work with.
Yeah, you've been getting like tons of publicity though, like worldwide almost, right? You've traveled out of the country too, right? Haven't you?
Yeah, yeah. I went to Japan last year.
What were you doing there?
Um, it was actually just a trip, just to check it out. I've never been there before. One of my friends was going there, and he was like, "You want to go with me?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's go." So we just kind of did like the tourist thing and like went all around. And I do follow some people that were out there, so I reached out to an artist collective called Totemo, and they were like, "Yeah, you want to paint? We have a spot for you." And they gave me this rooftop spot, and I ended up painting like this big pyramid on a rooftop, and then another one on this side wall. And so yeah, it turned out great. You know, Japan's awesome, man. It's really awesome.
Do you have any stories from that trip?
Um,
Or any funny situations you got into?
no, not really, man. I mean, everyone out there is just so polite. I mean, almost everything's in English. Everyone pretty much speaks English, so there's not really much of a language barrier. Um, we just rode the subway around, real easy to travel. You know, great food everywhere, and it's pretty inexpensive. Like you can get like the best sushi, and it's cheaper than here, and it's like the best quality sushi. Um, just they have just all kinds of cool stuff, man. Anime stuff and like gaming areas, cool art things, like temples were cool. Yeah, it was a dope trip. I'm trying to plan another one here soon.
Right on. You're
Yeah.
pretty into sushi, anyways.
Yeah,
I know that, right?
yeah, for sure. I love sushi.
Where you going to get sushi? Where you like it to?
In Denver, I don't really have one specific place. Um, I did go to the Source Hotel. There's one in there, and they do like omakase,
Oh yeah.
and it was that was pretty good quality, like that I found in Denver. But I mean, I'll kind of go wherever, any place, Hapa or whatever, they're
Yeah.
all pretty,
They're okay, right?
yeah, pretty decent, yeah.
And then, are you working on any projects right now? Are you still working on the river, or is that kind of done? Or
The river's done for now, but they do want to try to see if they could get some grants going or just some funding to do maybe another section. Um, Hopefully they reach out to me again to curate it and I can get, some different artists in there because there was so many people that asked and I felt so bad because there's so many people that I didn't think about and it wasn't intentional that I didn't ask, but it was just it happened so quick and so hopefully they do another round and we can get like some more funding for the people and some different artists down there and stuff.
and so the artists that you curated, like the who was gonna be, you like manage the project or something like that.
Yeah, pretty much I reached out and then contacted the artists and we're like, hey, you want to come down? I'd meet them down there and make sure everyone had a space, um, make sure they were all, set apart well enough to where you can like take a picture of this guy's piece and this guy's piece isn't overlapping it. Um, Try to get some female artists down there. I think we got maybe 4 or 5 female artists down there. Um, yeah, I mean it was awesome.
And when you were like curating like who you wanted, like what was kind of uh factors in deciding who you wanted to be on the project?
Um, I mean I reached out to a couple of my friends. I wanted them to have a place for sure. And then just people that I've worked with are known in the community that I know do good murals and are reliable, and would enjoy that spot. Anthony Garcia, Sandra, these are all people that are well known in the art community that I know if I contact them, they're gonna be all about business, and the mural's gonna look good and in a timely manner. Patrick McGregor, he does the dogs, like, he does great murals. His son Tristan, um, reached out to Chelsea. She does great stuff too. So it was kind of both a mixture of like people I knew, plus also like people that I knew would do a good job, and then also a couple people just randomly hit me up, and they were just kind of at the right time, and I was like, hey man, send me what you want to do. It can't be like anything like crazy, and they would just send me a little mock-up and I was like, cool man, let's see how it turns out. And I gave a couple of people a spot that I didn't even know who they were, but I seen their portfolio and they did some good work. It turned out all good.
That's dope,
Yeah.
man. And like so there are like interesting things about graffiti culture that I don't kind of understand. Like you guys have like crews and stuff, right? And then your crews, like you guys get like beef with each other if you guys are like you guys claim territory or turf or shit like that, or you guys painting over each other's shit to like salt on each other, or like 'cause
Man,
I've heard stories of like being like serious beef between like
yeah.
crews, or like violent kind of shit going on between crews. Like
Yeah.
what's all that kind of shit about?
I mean, it depends, in graffiti you're dealing with all kinds of people from all different areas of life, You're going to have someone that's just into art, that just likes tagging, that just wants to tag. You're going to have someone that's, into gang culture, some that also does graffiti. So you're in this whole world where there's, a bunch of different people that are that are doing this activity, and their outlook on it may not be the same as the next person. So, I mean, there's some like unspoken rules, but also at the end of the day, it's doing illegal like graffiti on places, you know, like what are the rules to that, you know what I mean? So it's a weird thing, you know. Yeah, I mean some people are territorial, you know. I mean, if you go over their stuff, they're gonna come back and go over you. They might beat you up too. You know what I mean? It depends on who that person is and what his take on it is. Um, yeah, it's just it's all over, man.
So
It's
it's all
like
like personal philosophy, like
yeah,
built into the culture, right?
yeah, for
And so
sure.
it's all overlapping essentially.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Uh,
It's just so many different people in it that, you know, you kind of have to figure out, you know, who's like who's who, you know, and how they deal with it.
And have you had any problems in that regard, like personally?
For the most part, I've known, you know, a lot of people. I've definitely had problems with writers back in the day, and you know, I don't, you know, hopefully I don't have any problems with today. You know, I now I'm in a realm where I'm like, I still like graffiti, of course, and do it, but I'm also like doing street murals and street art, so I kind of have a mixed perspective. You know, a lot of people will like go over street art murals because those people don't tag or anything, you know, and I'm like, well, those people are just artists, like they're not necessarily like into graffiti. But on the other side of it, I'm like, if graffiti wasn't here to start it with spray paint, you know, those people might not have a place that they have now, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like you need to pay homage a little bit. So it's, you know, I have like a weird take on it. You know, I can go both ways. It kind of depends daily how I feel about it.
And are there any of those like hard, fast rules that like most everyone abides by, or is it just kind of a free for all generally?
I mean, like general rules are like you don't tag over someone, you know, unless you want beef with them. If you go over someone's stuff, it should be like a tag, then a toss up over that tag, then a burner, then a wild style piece, and what you do over him should be better than him. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But I mean, some again, like some of these things don't apply. It depends who you're dealing with. Like, you know, some guy's not going to care if your stuff's better than him. Like you went over him. Like now you have to, you know, deal with the consequences for that.
Mm.
Um, you know, a lot of, you know, sometimes rules would be like, don't tag on a church. You know, don't tag on people's cars. Don't tag on people's houses. But again, you're dealing with this, you know, this culture that it's based around doing illegal graffiti wherever. So it's, you know, these are like certain rules that have been placed, you know, by OGs. But, you know, like, again, like everybody is different, you know. Someone's not going to, you know, adhere to those rules
Right.
the way someone else does, you know
Or
what
I
I mean?
noticed like especially like in Italy when I was in like Italy and Sicily, there's tons of graffiti, but you wouldn't see it on churches. You wouldn't see it on like um, statues,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that, or
Yeah.
like it was like you wouldn't if it something was what someone would consider to be art. It was kind of like off limit. It
Yeah.
seemed like.
And I've always tried to deal with that. You know, I'm not trying to like tag on someone's church. I'm not going to tag on someone's car. I don't want my car tagged on. You know what I
Right,
mean? But, you know, some people don't live by those rules,
for
you
sure.
know, so yeah.
And then is there like it's back to like the territorial kind of part. Is there like any parts of town that you wouldn't tag in or go in like either in the past or up to today
Um,
because of other people's kind of
I think that's more like gang graffiti when it comes to territory like that,
mm,
you know, so like as far as like artistic graffiti, I mean, you can pretty much go anywhere, you know, and paint. I mean, of course, just be careful for yourself. You know, if you're in like a shady neighborhood, you know, anything can happen. You know, it's like, but there's not like any said thing where it's like this crew runs this city. Like, don't come into our city and paint. You know what I mean? For the most part, again, like that changes with people and like what they think. You know what I mean? And there's definitely walls where it's like this crew controls this wall. So like don't go and paint on that crew's wall.
Hmm.
Like that's their rotating wall for their crew. You know, if you go and paint there thinking you can, like they're gonna be pissed at you.
And what's gonna be an indication of some spot that you shouldn't be at?
You just gotta fill it out. You
Uh-huh.
know what I mean? Like it's it's tough, you know. I mean, a general rule I would say is like just don't. There's so many places to paint. Like there's no reason to go to this wall and paint over it just because you see like graffiti there. Like just find your own wall, you know.
Mhm.
Find a spot, you know.
Yeah. And then so as far as like finding spots and finding walls and stuff, what's something that's gonna be appealing for you? Like what when you because there's like you said there's buildings, every building has at least four walls, right? Are you looking for something that has exposure? Are you looking for something that does not have exposure? Are you looking for something that only certain people are gonna come across? Or like what kind of inspires you to actually throw up something like on a certain spot?
Um, for me personally, it's all a feeling and it depends. I might hit a spot because I do want people to see it a lot. You know what I mean? A thing with spots like that is they're probably going to get buffed. So you're spending time going out there, risking, you know, consequences for this tag that's going to be seen by a bunch of people, but it might not be there tomorrow morning. You know, on the other hand of it, as I get older in this and I've already done so much of that hot spots and stuff, I want to find a spot where I can just be creative, you know, and it doesn't necessarily have to be viewed by a lot of people, especially with social media. Um, you know, so I really enjoy like just low key spots where I could take my time, you know, judge the environment, paint something that is cool in that placement, you know, and then just document it and have that. But again, it depends on the day, you know. I love graffiti, and I don't know if I'll ever stop doing it, you know. And I originated by just doing tags, like just tags everywhere, and I love to do tags and toss ups. So some days, you know, I still have that feeling, you know, and that love for that, and I definitely, you know, will do that. But um, you know, it's a weird balance, you know what I mean?
And then so it's interesting because I feel like it's same thing with skateboarding in this regard as well, is like you're going to all these spots and you're filming yourself and you know what I mean, you're posting that you're like broadcasting you in some criminal activity essentially. And I guess like I don't think there's like cops or anything like tracking social media accounts to bust people for skateboarding. I don't think that's happening yet, or I don't think it'll ever will. But is that I feel like it seems to be a little bit more problematic with tagging because like it's I think it's a little bit more in the form of that like of vandalism than you know skating a
Hmm.
handrail or
For
waxing a
sure.
curb or something like that.
Yeah.
Like people don't like graffiti. Like you know you tag someone's building and you take a picture of your tag and then you post it on social media and
Hmm.
you have a recognizable obviously like iconic like style
Yeah.
and tag that and you're posting it. Is it does that like that is that any way problematic for
You
the
know,
community or are people getting busted for that kind of stuff? Like
for sure
how's that
people are
working?
getting busted for that. It's a weird lane that I'm in right now where I've almost created this character that the community and people love so much. And also, I'm not just going out and like painting it on the front of whatever TJ Maxx, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like people aren't like I'm not doing like serious damage. The people that are getting in trouble for posting their stuff are ones that are like, you know, they're tagging right on the front of a storefront. Those people want to prosecute and find those people that did that.
Right.
You know, I'm trying to be a little more low key, you know, especially with, you know, I have a decent art career going, you know, so
For
I'm not
sure.
trying to jeopardize that.
Yeah.
But I've also like created this character that seems to, you know, have love within the community. So a lot of times people are happy to see it, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And also like I said, I'm not like really doing damage, you know what I mean, compared to like a lot of taggers or whatever. So I'm definitely picking and choosing where I place him, you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's what's kind of cool about that culture is there's like so much nuance to it. You know what I mean? It's like just like skateboarding. Like there's a kickflip, right? and you do a kickflip on flat ground. I could do a kickflip in the arcade here is different than if I, do a kickflip at the skate park,
Mm-hmm.
or if I do it down a 20 stair or something like that. And so like there's this nuance and there's this whole kind of like contextual relevance with it that
Yeah,
makes it makes the same thing different. You know what I mean? Like you have your character, you paint the same character on the front of a TJ Maxx, and it makes it way different than if you paint it, on
yeah,
a train
for
car
sure.
or, in someone's ice cream shop,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's the same exact thing, but in different contexts creates completely different reactions, right?
Yeah, true,
And
true.
so it's kind of like, is there a certain reaction that you're trying to like get out of your art, or is it just different all the time?
I mean, with the pyramid people, I just want people to be like stoked when they see them and happy, and like, oh, there is one. It's almost become like a scavenger hunt
Yeah, like a little
now.
Pokemon, like you
Yeah,
see them, try to catch them where they're at.
yeah, and also I want them to see him like if it's in like a certain space, like, oh, he painted this cook dude in the kitchen, like that's creative. So
Uh, Dave's asking you what year you started skating.
Dave, you know a year, don't ask
As
that.
well, what was the first park you skated in Colorado? And what's his favorite street spot in Denver? Here or gone?
Um, so the first parks, I mean, when we started skating, there was a park in Brighton. It was all prefab, had a long, big ass half pipe. I sucked at transition back then. Uh, and there was a park in Golden. I think those were the only two parks. And the Golden Park was all prefab also. Um, yeah, when I was little and grew up, like with that same crew, it was we would catch the bus and it was either like, are we catching the bus to Denver to skate streets or are we going to catch the bus to Golden Skate Park to skate the park? And that was kind of our only two like options really, besides like the local little curbs around, gaps around our houses and stuff and stairs. Um, Favorite street spots? What was my favorite street spot? Man, I don't know. Skyline was really cool back in the day. Um, it was different than how it was now.
Yeah, way different.
It ran all the way through. Do you remember it?
I remember I never got to skate it because I was
Yeah,
like, I think they tore it down right around when they built Denver Park, like that
yeah.
same air, like within a couple
I
years, like right
I think
before or right
so.
after.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing it in footage, and I remember going there when before it was torn down, but I don't think I ever really skated it. It was kind of like on the cusp, but when I wasn't good enough to even like skate street spots.
Yeah.
And but that was definitely a dope spot. Definitely way different than now.
They had the three sections, so they had like 15th Street, 16th Street, and 17th Street. And I mean all and 18th, and all of them would have ledges. There was hubbas there. There was hits off ledges. There was like banks you could do tricks in. There was gaps, manuals. Um, there was handrails there, and we would when I first went downtown, um, I remember going there, and there was probably like 20 skaters there, just sick, real dope skaters. And I remember that was the first time I seen the cops pull up on motorcycles, and everyone just split. And I'm sure it was similar to like the Love Park stories they tell. And I remember we would just go, we would chill, we'd go to the next skyline, like we would just skate down to the next one, wait for them to come and kick us out there, go to the next one. And then there was an era where they wouldn't even kick us out. And like we could just skate there all day. Um, so yeah, that was a pretty dope street spot. Yeah, I'm not sure of too many other ones really that I could think of. When we went to street spots, it was always like drive here, go here. I mean, downtown in general was pretty fun everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And then I remember them lighting up, seeing so much lit up footage of Skyline. I think like skating at
yeah,
night was like less of a bust, or
yeah, for sure. I mean, there was a time where like you're gonna get ticketed if they catch you there. Like they might take your board, you know. definitely times we had to run, you know, and try to get away from cops. Motorcycle cops would always come. They would like go through the park and try to like block you off with another motorcycle cop. So, but yeah, a lot of night footage was coming out of there.
And you managed to stay pretty healthy skateboarding through your skate careers. That you didn't have any major injuries or any setbacks.
When I was real little, I broke my wrist. Um,
What was that? What was that story?
I was super little. I was trying fakie ollie to switch nose manual on this curb, and I got to the end and it slipped out, and I landed right like that on the curb, and it just jammed down and broke my wrist. Had a cast. Um, you know, I've rolled my ankles a bunch. Um, had some rib injuries where I fell like on ledges and stuff, but thankfully nothing like real detrimental, you know. And also, you know, I did do handrails and stairs and gaps, but it wasn't like crazy. You know what I mean? We were always into like technical, like flipping, you know, manual stuff, like tech tricks on banks or pyramids. So I think that definitely saved like my body, you know, and extended my career a little bit.
Yeah, I was pretty much the same way with my approach too. Just skating mellow, just trying to be stylish and
Yeah.
not really like hucking so much. Once in a while, when you feel in it, you kind of go for it, but never trying anything where I'm gonna have to jump down there multiple times and limit my potential to like really get fucked up.
Yeah. I mean what I hated about skating like stairs and rails is like you would get heel bruise and then
Oh
you're
yeah,
out for like weeks and weeks, dude. Like and it would just like it got to the point where like I don't really want to do that anymore because I'm having so much I can have so much fun doing other stuff, you know what I mean?
yeah. Heel bruise is bad too because it takes so long to like heal, and
Mhm.
then when you think it's good, you just step on it wrong, and
Yeah.
you're like, fuck, dude,
Yeah.
it's back to how it was when I got it, and it just like
Yeah.
and you're using your heel all the time,
Yeah.
and it's like heel bruises fucking suck. It's like one of
Yeah.
the lamest injuries. Those and rolled ankles are just the shits, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely rolled my ankle a bunch and had heel bruises a lot during that time. I was doing bigger stuff, but it's all part of the game.
Yeah, definitely. But and then you have anything we're working on right now, or ambitions or goals, or
As far
just in
as
general?
in general, I mean, I have some art projects. Um, a lot of times I don't like to jinx them by saying stuff.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, some of them are still like in the paperwork phase, you know, and I don't know. With art projects, you have to like, you know, go back and forth with emails and then go back and forth with designs and like they might not even find a design that fits, you know, that they like. Um, but I definitely have some like murals that are hopefully coming through. Let's see, I gotta paint a mural Wednesday. Like it's gonna be like a coloring book mural. So I think it's all black and white, and then it's gonna be for a car show or something. They're gonna have like kids colored in and stuff. I think I'm doing an interior house mural Thursday. Um, we have a tattoo show coming up. That should be really cool. We did all bunch of artists did flash sheets of like their art, and you can purchase the original art. You could purchase prints of the flash sheet, and then they're also gonna have tattoo artists um, at the at the show, and you can get tattoos of the actual artist tattoos. So that should be a cool show. And then we have like a 3D character show coming up where a bunch of artists got their characters 3D modeled.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, so they're gonna have a bunch of like model characters
that's
there.
tight.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be sick. I like you throw something up here for the podcast because we're always back here.
Oh yeah, that'd be
Something
dope.
like just up here because it's just a little bit too plain. You can see like,
Yeah, yeah, that'd be
it,
good.
but something up there would be really dope. If you got some time. And then there's that. I know you want to throw something up back there, outside.
Oh yeah.
I think I'm ready to do that because I'm sick of like kids and families like walking open the door with that little pee guy out there. You know what I'm saying? You remember, right?
Kinda.
There's like a little stick figure with like a little weenie. Like
Oh, is there?
it's like so whack. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
we
oh yeah, we will like because I have kids have birthday parties and stuff, and sometimes it's just crowded in here. And so like, oh, we could set the table outside for you for your cake and stuff, and then they open the door, and like right when
Yeah.
you look out, there's like a little stupid stick figure with a
Yeah.
little dick on there.
We could cover that up for
Yeah,
sure.
that would be awesome. So yeah, if you want to got some time to do some more work in here, thank you so
Sure.
much for
Yeah.
the work that you've already
For
done
sure.
here. Makes it
Appreciate it.
so much better. And yeah, like it's been a while since you've been in here to do that, but I think it's a good spot. There's plenty of room for you to kind of
Yeah.
throw some stuff up, but definitely something up here for like the
Yeah, that would be
just
good
for
in
the
the
podcast,
background
just for
there.
the podcast
Mm-hmm.
background. I think that would be pretty dope. But yeah, is there any like shout outs or any kind of like any other parting messages or
Not really, man.
wisdom you want to share?
You know, I'm very, very thankful for everything. Thank you for having me on the podcast. I know it's been a minute, and it's cool to finally do this. You know, shout out all the homies. There's a lot to name. You know who you are. Yeah. I don't know. Peace.
Yeah, man.
Y'all take care.
Hey, thank you for coming on, dude. It was a pleasure chatting
Thank
with you,
you,
dude.
man.
We'll be in touch and we'll get some more work for you in here. And
Sounds
then
good.
hopefully, best luck with you in the future with your career. And
Thank you.
I'm excited that you've done so much in the community and
Thank you,
and
man. I
around
appreciate
Denver and making Denver, building the reputation for this is such a dope city that it is, and just hopefully we can keep working on it, bro. But thanks for
For
coming in,
sure.
man.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody watching. Thanks for tuning in. Keeping an eye out for our next podcast. Hopefully we'll line someone up sooner than later. Tomorrow we have nothing really going on. No, we have a late night stream.
Yeah, correct.
Underrail late night after close. Wednesday, come check us out for a pinball tournament, 7 o'clock. If you want to come play some pinball with us. What else we got this week? I think that's it right for now. Just checking us out for on the clock streams and check Facebook, Instagram, YouTube for this to drop the rebroadcast, and just keep in touch with what we got going on at the arcade. Thank you guys for showing up. Y'all have a great day. We'll catch you later. Peace.